I'm Ross.
And I'm Cole. And this is Comedians
In Cars.
Getting
Coffee.
Podcast.
Previously on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, what car just makes you want to have fun? An Aqua 56 Vet.
Oh, this
A
feels
windowless
good.
panel
Yeah.
van.
Quentin Tarantino movie. It's not who wants it, it's who gets stuck with it.
Now the next thing I'm going to do is take off my pants.
What?
He said, what car makes you want to
Oh.
have fun?
My dad had one of those.
And I said, a windowed.
We went on a road trip to Colorado.
And was it amazing?
It was freezing.
Well,
I
you're
slept-
almost halfway to Alberta. It's okay.
I slept on a beanbag inside of it because it didn't have seats.
Do they still put beans in bean bags? Or have they been lying to me this whole time? Are they rice bags? I don't know.
I wish so. What?
Are they rice bags? Are they bean bags? Are they styrofoam bead bags? Is it bead bag? Is that what you're supposed to be saying? That's what it feels like.
You can buy beans. I think you can, but like if you buy a cheap one from the store, it's going to be styrofoam.
Interesting.
Styrofoam beans.
Beans. I wonder what marbles would be like.
Like actually, they are. You know the sugar puff cereal with the turtle or the frog on the front. They fill it with that.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Uh-huh.
Wait, is this a chair podcast or a Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee podcast? I forget all the time. We do two, and I mix them up. We do the Beanbag podcast on Fridays.
But I mean, chairs play a very relevant part in our lives today, as we all know. Become
It's
a
true.
major political topic. of
Standing
debate.
desks have actually been threatening their existence for a couple years now, but chairs will prevail.
I hate standing desks. Why would I
Stupid.
stand?
What's the point
Why
of a
would I
desk?
stand when I can sit?
Well, back health, circulatory reasons. I
hating my
apologize,
life.
viewers. We're gonna get back to the meat and bones here.
I'm loving it. This is what it's all about.
Regardless, Jimmy's loving it. And I wish so bad
Welcome to
that
the
Jerry
best
would have
episode
said,
yet of
I love to see you smile. That would have been so good.
I just like that he's like got his pants rolled up, but he's still tie, dress shirt, shoes, dress socks. Like Jerry had the foresight to wear his trunks, ready to rock and roll, but he's like, Jimmy will figure it out. No need to. He was so committed to the surprise that he was willing to let Jimmy suffer. Maybe, well, he knew that Jimmy wouldn't care, but regardless, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
I'd
So,
be worried about my suit.
Jimmy Fallon, he doesn't get mad about anything.
Well, he's gonna be making what, like 65,000 a year?
Hey, he's just happy to be there.
He is, and he's unsinkable, so it doesn't really matter what he's wearing.
Correct. Nobody can sink him. I meant to go over this in the first part. Welcome to part 2, by the way.
Yeah, no,
But-
no one will be able to tell. We're wearing the exact same clothes. We had a quick change. This is happening moments after the first part was recorded. Moments.
I got so sweaty from our heated debates in the first one that I had to change my shirt.
Yeah, that's
in time.
exactly right.
But I meant to mention in the first episode, big stuff here. This is what I'm going to cover in every episode from here on out because it's what I became interested in, and it's kind of what led to this podcast. This episode was filmed in December 2014. Guess when Jimmy Fallon became the host of the Late Night Show with Jimmy Fallon?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Well, let me start back from the beginning because I think it's something we should all know. In 1998, he started on SNL.
Yes.
And then in 2009, he became the host of the Late Night Show. And then in 2014, the same year this is airing, he became the host of the Tonight Show.
Wow. So he's
brand
on
new.
top
He's
of the world
fresh.
right now. Yeah.
He is fresh. Well, here I think that's why he's so exhausted.
He does
can
look
tell
a
he's pretty
little
tired. And every time you switch, you get a new job. You switch what you're doing.
It's not just any job either. He's just the Tonight Show. It's like
exactly.
He's got to be up late for work,
which is already the most exhausting job that you can have.
Yeah.
And then he's got to get used to it. And that takes a while. But anyways, February 2014 is when he started that. This aired December 2014, so he's just been a few months.
Wow. Well, he's doing a great job. You can just see his passion.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, let's see what he has to say. That brings up an interesting point that I want to discuss. So we'll see.
Okay.
Look at me. Look at what I'm. This is insane.
There it is.
Do you ever get really mad?
He's getting
How do you
soaked.
express it when you're really
He's just
furious?
loving it.
I used to be more of just like snapping.
He's out of the office.
Scream.
Really, you scream?
Not.
He's just happy to be there.
Come on!
How many times can we use that this episode?
It's no one's real fault.
Of course it is.
Hey, it is someone's fault, but it's not going to help anything if I get mad.
Wow, really? You have that much control?
I do now. Yeah.
Look at that. He doesn't even get mad. And you can see him get mad at the end of the episode, and it's the most mild madness of anybody I've ever seen. So what a great guy. He's just all through and through, very good person. That's why I like him so much.
Ask anyone who's working for you so how's it going for you on the show?
I don't
Never ask.
Thought for your thoughts.
That maybe from Jerry's perspective, that's true, right? Working on Seinfeld, when I ask people, he's like really like the creator. It's like his complete vision for the show, him and Larry. And maybe you don't want to ask like other actors or whatever what their opinion is. But I don't know. I feel like for Jimmy, I think it would be easier for him to ask those kinds of questions. You know, I don't think it's a big deal. I think he genuinely likes the people he works with, and I think they like him. So I don't think it would be hard for him to.
I really don't know what the answer is, but I know what the difference is that on Seinfeld, he, I believe, would be working with a lot more adults, whereas Jimmy, even like on the Tonight Show, I think most of his employees are a lot younger than Jerry and Larry's.
And I'm not sure if this is the case, so this is just speculation, but I know for other late night hosts that they often they have the same crew, and when they leave, a lot of the crew also leaves, and like Jimmy, because Jimmy had his show before, he probably brought a lot of people with him that he's worked with before that he likes. So it's like a reset, right? So you'd think that it's people he really enjoys working with, not just like I think like you said on Seinfeld's set, it's just like the people the studio hired, right? Whoever Castle Rock had on the staff, that's who it was. Minus obviously some key recurring characters, but so yeah, it's probably a fairly significant difference between the two shows. It's also there's a difference between a live, like a show that's filmed live, and a studio audience sitcom.
Which one do you think is better? If you had to choose one,
like to watch.
If you had to work on. Basically, in one of their spots, you had to choose 10 years of Seinfeld.
Oh my god.
From the beginning, 10 years of Seinfeld or 10 years of hosting a Tonight Show.
So I want to say 10 years of hosting the Tonight Show, because I feel like you are a more important person. You have more opportunity to like pursue your vision and make a difference and meet people and like meet interesting celebrities. But at the same time, I think like once Jimmy's done, they'll talk about him here and there, but he's replaced, he's gone, he's forgotten. There'll be a new host, but Seinfeld lives on. Also, if we were just to do a quick Google of net worths, Seinfeld, I choose Seinfeld. But as far as what's fun to work on, I think it'd be way more fun to work on the Tonight Show, because you're dealing with like current events, live broadcasts. I don't know. I think it'd be more rewarding. Shall we continue?
We shall.
I don't know why I used shall. Strange word.
When I first started, I could barely make it to 6 minutes.
8 months in, remember.
I just love that jump. It's so ridiculous. Sorry, just going back on that 8 months point, this is what I wanted to ask. He says, when I first started, I could barely get to 6 minutes. Do you think he was talking about like the Tonight Show or his previous like late night experience? Like, was he all warmed up and an expert when he started the Tonight Show? Probably, right? Or do you think like the stress and pressure of being like the head honcho?
I would like to say it was. Well, okay, he said he's just now getting the hang of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's talking about the Tonight Show, yeah.
It's interesting that that's like that big of a, especially when you're like, you did SNL. I guess SNL's all rehearsed and stuff, but yeah, it would be hard to just talk to someone for 10 minutes uninterrupted.
Well, yeah, but
make it interesting.
he was doing that though for 5 years already.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's.
Yeah, so maybe that's just a testament to how much more difficult or how much bigger the Tonight Show is. It's like the expectations.
Is there actually anything different?
That's a good question.
Like, comparing the two shows, I don't remember anything. Did you have the roots with him
on late night?
Yes.
So really, then the whole thing is
because he had he didn't move to LA, which was
big
against
the
grain.
The Tonight Show back to New York, yeah.
And he brought the Roots with him,
mm-hmm.
which was also against the grain.
Mm-hmm. They're great.
Oh yeah,
he's done a great job. I love the Tonight Show.
Best in any Tonight Show.
He's great. I'm just gonna rewind so that we can watch him. Like you can see him doing the calculation in his head. Like, yeah, I think I can make it. And he just is not even close. He's like 2 feet short.
That was insane.
Did you hit play?
Very nice.
I did hit play.
It's not it. Oh, it says I left.
Well, let's
get back in this party.
In here.
Wait, what were you gonna sing?
I was gonna sing "Drop It Like It's Hot." You would think Snoop Dogg walked into my room if I did that. So,
have you watched that new documentary that's on Netflix? Grass is greener. No, no, grass is greener.
I have not. Is it Snoop Dogg?
Well, he's in it.
Sounds like it's
for a short bit. He gets interviewed.
It's either a long hair documentary or a cannabis documentary. Both equally exciting topics.
I remember Sarah Silverman was coming on the show, and we had a bit that we wrote, "Hole." The doctor found what he thinks is the perfect butthole. It wasn't that funny of a sketch. It was really weird. And that day, NBC announced that I was taking over the Tonight Show.
Wow. Has this ever been released?
I was about to say, I wish. But the thing is, it's SNL, right? So, or was it SNL? No, it was the late night show. So they would have filmed it, right? I doubt it was a live. It could have been a live sketch. He does those.
He just said a sketch with Sarah Silverman.
So it was probably like planned on being live on the show. I doubt they pre-recorded it. Maybe they did, but that would be just awesome. Just awesome to see the perfect butthole. Because he'd be like young and like also really excited because he just got the job of his life.
I think him and Sarah Silverman should perform it on the last day of his Tonight Show.
That would be the perfect butthole thing to do.
When he's like 60 years old and retiring from TV.
No, that's a good point. Do you think he's going to grind it out that long? Do you think he'll like run it as long as Jay Leno did? I think he's just saving up the money and I give him 10 more years maybe.
How old is he now?
I don't know, he's in his 40s, I would imagine. Like young 40s, like 39, 40, 41.
Yeah.
I don't know. I keep forgetting that I'm getting older. And so is everyone else in the world. Jimmy Fallon is 44. I give him 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah, he'll be done when he's 50. He'll hit 50 and he'll go, I want to go relax on my super yacht for the next 70 years because he's going to have great medical care.
Man, so he started at 39.
39, 40. I'd say, an 11-year run is pretty admirable. If he makes it 50. That's like it's a long time. And he grinded, like SNL's a hell of a grind. That's a lot of work. So he's been grinding for a long time.
Oh, it is. It's not nearly as much of a grind as this, though. I'm
It's
sure of
not.
it. Just like
It's definitely
Jerry
not.
said, this is a sick science experiment. Let's put one guy in a room,
Yeah.
have him produce 5 hours of TV every week.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's actually crazy. And you know what? I know that like older hosts they'd have like guest hosts on while they could go take their vacations and stuff. I don't know if Jimmy does that. I don't watch Jimmy Fallon as much as I used to, but does he just take the week off?
Yeah, he used to run reruns.
That's smart. No guest
I don't know
host.
if he still
Nobody
does that
takes his
for
spotlight.
on the actual Tonight Show. I don't know if he does that.
Interesting. I mean, it makes sense, but there's only so many reruns you can do, right?
Wait, is that what who does somebody actually do that? Have guest hosts?
Yeah, that's actually how Jay Leno, I think, kind of became. I think it was Johnny Carson. Jimmy Carson. I think Johnny Carson had Jay Leno as a guest host. Like whenever he wanted a week off or taking his vacation, then Jay Leno would come and take over, and that's how they kind of knew he'd be good because the ratings kept up even when he took over. It's interesting. Well,
what was the deal
Jimmy,
with,
if you're out there and you're looking for a week off, I can be in New York tonight. On the next flight.
Please, you can't make it there that quick. You're so far away.
I will tip the pilot. I will.
Coincidentally,
20.
I am the pilot. 20
I,
is insultingly low. I don't even want to hear what your first offer was.
20,000. I think you misheard me. When I say I
Deal.
speak in thousands, 20. What's $20? It's a penny to me.
Deal. Which is, never mind. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just currently formulating the beginnings of a sketch wherein somebody attempts to tip their airline pilot.
All right, fine. Since you're going into it, I'm gonna go into what I was thinking about, which was the Gad. Do you know Gad, the French stand-up comedian?
Oh my God, I do not.
Oh, he's in one of these episodes. Anyways.
Well, looking forward.
He's called, well, you should definitely know him because his name is the Jerry Seinfeld of France, is what he is most commonly known as.
I remember this.
Okay, he has his own TV show on Netflix, came out last week. It was phenomenal.
Is it
absolutely? Good? Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Oh my God, it's so good.
And he's just like, it's a spoof of a documentary kind of him coming into America, like to spend more time with his family.
Oh,
and
so it's
whatnot.
Sacha Baron.
No,
oh my God,
it is
Russ,
not.
stop,
It's
stop.
not. Because he is a very accomplished stand-up, and that's very respectable. Anyways, he tips people $20,000 throughout the entire show because he thinks that's what everybody is like thinking. He'll say like, he'll try to make a bet with somebody. He is like 20. How about 20? Will you do it for 20? And the guy's like, all right, fine, $20. And he's like, all right, $20,000. And the guy's like,
that's awesome. Well, sounds like a Gad show.
Everybody out there, all of
our
our viewers, yeah, check out that show. It's really good. It's a satire comedy.
It's really Gad.
It's so good. Yeah. Makes fun of a lot of people and a lot of lifestyles.
But in a Gad way.
In a Gad way.
Yeah.
In a good way. Good. In a good God.
Gad way. Okay. Moving on. That was very, very good.
I remember they were making the announcement. I knew, Jay knew, Lauren knew.
He's about to say that everyone's phone started blowing up. I think because nobody knew. And I didn't think about this the first time, but it actually makes a lot of sense that they would be excited, not for Jimmy, but because most of them are going to be coming with him, and they all essentially just got huge like status upgrades as far as like, now I work on the Tonight Show. I don't work on the late night show. I work on the Tonight Show. It's like everyone's getting promotions. Or if they're sitting, shit, I'm fired. I just lost my job. He's leaving. He didn't even tell me.
I think he's just such a great guy. People were just happy for him.
I think so too. I know when Conan had his whole Tonight Show, like problems, and they ended up switching him out. I know that
that lasted a while.
Yeah, I know. I love Conan though. He's great. He's actually the longest running late night host on television. Granted, he's on TBS, but it's been on for years. I know he paid to take his entire staff with him to TBS, and he paid their salaries, so it's pretty standard
Really?
as well. Yeah, but it seems like that's a pretty normal like business, like in the late night show business. It seems like you have your people and you keep them with you. So
I like that.
promotion. Yeah,
Gosh.
great. You were cleaning
That
toilets
means-
before, now you're cleaning toilets for the Tonight Show.
Ross, if you were cleaning my toilet before, you'd be cleaning my toilet when we make it to the big
I know what
times.
that means.
All of a sudden, everyone's phone started buzzing.
Okay, I hope this paused at the right place, but I really like Jerry's reaction to the story because you can totally see where it's going. But Jerry just seems genuinely like, wow, what a
He's about to use Elaine's line, "Get out!"
get out, and then he shoves Jimmy, and the car crashes, and flips and rolls, and he says, "Well, what do you use airbags for, anyways?"
The other big moment was when
Armada
What?
of vehicles following him. He's got his boat following him.
I was gonna say that silver Honda Odyssey.
Odyssey. Ooh.
The Honda Odyssey. Was that on the part 1 that I made a comment about it, or was it on the episode with Jim Carrey? Because
Think it was part 1, but it may have been. I'm sure it's the same vehicle. Well, no, they went to California for part 1, right?
yes,
So then they flew the Odyssey to California. It's the same vehicle.
I just don't know why a Honda Odyssey, if that's theirs. I don't know what they are using it for.
I mean,
Maybe
it's
as like a-
functional vehicle. You can fit 7 people in it.
Maybe that's what the crew rides in,
People probably. Yeah, why not?
along
The
with
doors
the
are automatic opening. It has 17 cup holders. It's a great vehicle.
Does it have swivel seats?
It does not have
Swivel
swivel
seats?
No
Ooh,
swivel seats. But do
Deal
those ever
breaker.
really work? There's no leg room. You don't fit.
I don't know what year it was, but the van came out with the swivel seats and the table in the middle. Commercial, kids
Dodge
playing
Grand
cards in the
Caravan.
back.
Have you ever sat in
Oh,
one? It
man.
seems like the best thing ever, and then you sit in one and you're like, let me try to reenact what it looks like. I need to pull back so you can see my knees are stuck to my chest. Sorry, those are dress pants you saw. You don't fit. There's no space. You swivel the seats around, the table fits up, and you can fit like 3 children. No adult will ever fit there.
Wait, you've actually got to sit in one?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Because they don't make them like that anymore.
No, because they sucked.
Huh. Interesting.
I know, it's a real shame because it did seem like a great idea.
Oh, they have them on the charter buses at the back where the cool kids would sit
Yeah,
on a field trip.
go back.
I was always so jealous.
My buses were always
he goes,
characters.
"Hey, would you do me a favor and say hello to my wife when she comes out of the bathroom?" I go, "Absolutely, no problem." Go back to my table or whatever, and I see his wife come out, so I go over and I go, "Hello," and he goes, "Excuse me, you talking to my wife?" I go, "That's the type of comedy that you guys do here? You're gonna get in a bar fight now? Like that's you made me do this."
That is objectively quite funny.
I think that guy's hilarious. That was
Yeah.
a good joke.
Yeah, he could have been like starstruck the whole time. Oh my gosh, look who we get to meet. But he decided that rather than be excited and share this moment with his wife, he would punk Jimmy Fallon.
I feel like I would do the same thing.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Oh, it's so great to meet you. It's really a pleasure. My wife's gonna love to see you. And you just completely flip on him. Honestly, I don't think that I would have had the foresight or the comedic timing to even think to do that. I would have been so just excited and happy to meet him. But that's
I would have gone with the whole how do you two know each other? Really? Really? Bernice?
is this
Jimmy?
him? Is this the guy? Yeah. 3-hour yoga classes. You don't think I understand what's going on here? You come back, you're not sweaty. You clearly showered. That's how my first divorce went. Or will go. Trying to decide.
Why do you smell like Ralph Lauren for men?
You smell like the sea. The beach. Too much.
Have you had coffee yet today?
I need coffee.
Me too. This is my favorite restaurant out here.
He says out here. What? Where are they? Do you know what city? Somewhere in New York.
So they're in the state of New York, and I would imagine they went north to find the lake. Probably not too far, right? Maybe like an hour to town. I don't know. I don't know where they went at all. And I'm surprised actually that they're not more explicit about the restaurants they go to. Maybe it's listed somewhere, but you'd think that like they pick these places for a reason. You'd think they'd want to like sauce them a little free advertising, you know. But
yeah, I mean they give them credit at the end, but not during.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting.
And they don't spend a lot of time talking about the restaurants either. I mean, they do here and there, but it's never like, oh, this place is so awesome. Look at this. Oh, look, they got great food, and it's like,
this place should be famous.
Yeah. The fork size here is
It is
outrageous.
in Montauk, New York.
Could be. Is that? Did you look that up?
Yes.
Montauk. John's Pancake House. It looks good. I also like how it's John's Pancake House on the awning, but on the window it's Mr. John's Pancake House. Mr. John, that's my father. Call me John.
So this is actually like right on the water. It looks like they were at Fort Pond is where I'm going to guess they had the boat.
Is that in Indiana?
Indiana, yes. Fort Pond, 8th largest indigenous body of water. Actually, I'm looking at this on the map, grand scale. Very far east New York. Like you go past Long Island.
I could pull up a map for the.
Actually, your estimation looks like about right, an hour and a half east of Long Island. It's on the very tip.
All right, we got a map loading up for our. Oh wow, that's interesting.
Looks like a very local.
It's
local
like the Florida
town.
Keys.
Yeah, it really is. Looks like about an 2-hour boat ride. If you take that directly north, you're in Connecticut.
That's fascinating. So you think they went to Fort Pond and not Lake Montauk? Jamie, pull up Lake Montauk.
There's a smaller one because it looked like a very small lake where they were at.
Oyster Pond, maybe? It didn't look big. You're right. The Surf Lodge. Yeah, could have been. So where did he load then? I bet you it was at the end of Endicott Place. Well, I'd like to go to Montauk. Go to John's Pancake House. It's a local fixture for breakfast and burgers.
I want to go to the Montauk Lighthouse Museum. It's on the very point.
How did they get all the weight out of that house?
The what?
The weight. How did they make it so light? Most houses are pretty heavy.
That was probably the worst joke. All of our viewers out there,
my dad
the
just
worst
walked
joke.
in. That wasn't me.
You'll never have to hear anything like that again. I apologize.
I'm going to bring us back
New York.
to our video feed and play.
This is great, son. John's Pancake House?
You're going to love it.
We should have done this, and maybe one of our many fans will do this for us, but can someone please count what is his favorite verb? Is it awesome? Is it great? Is it wow? Like I wish we were tallying, because
aren't those adjectives?
Adjectives, it could be. I don't know.
Or an adverb. I still don't know exactly what an adverb is yet.
One of those three things, probably. Regardless, he's just ridiculously positive. It's almost, if he wasn't so seemingly genuine, how positive he is would come across as disingenuous. I actually think that's probably why anyone who doesn't like him probably doesn't like him, because they think he's being disingenuous with his positive attitude. But he really comes across as like a genuine.
And you have to be a genuine person to even come across that positive. Like, it takes a conscious effort, which I think he consciously did a long time ago, just to always be positive and use, like, he has these words now that he uses all the time.
So
And,
good, so good. Wow,
yeah.
great.
And it's because
So
he
good.
wants to be that positive, and it's a way for him to express that. Not that it's
He
ingenuous.
self-fulfills his own prophecy. He sits
Now-
in front of the mirror every morning. So good, so good, so good.
Hey, I'm gonna hit
So
play, and the next thing he says here, I hate it so much how he says it.
Hi,
I'm
I'm
gonna pause
Jimmy.
it right after. Yep, that one right there. Here we go.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how you doing?
Nice to see you. Jimmy, how are you?
She knows.
It's
She knows who you
why
are.
does he say it like he's like a 12-year-old kid?
Jimmy, how
Hi,
are you?
I'm Jimmy. How are?
But-
Nice to see ya.
It wasn't like a casual. It wasn't like, hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us. I'm Jimmy. This is Jerry. And like, what are you still introduce yourself? Hi, I'm Jimmy. Like, tugging on someone's like pant. Like,
Yeah.
Hi, Mister.
Hey,
I'm
Mister.
Jimmy."
It's just so weird.
You tell me that this coffee was not made at this pancake house. You tell me
I
that's
think
a
some of
stock
them
shop.
are. Some of them are, and some of
This
them
one
aren't.
is
I've
the
come
one where I'm
to-
like, I'm sold. That's a dirty coffee machine. It's dusty. That is for sure filmed on site before or after.
Like the thinness of forks and knives. Thin metal. I think that
Observe his genius at work right now.
thin metal.
Yeah,
I think
so-
that would be a funny
He goes, do you think anyone has a bit? Yes, you have that bit. You just created it in seconds.
In seconds.
So I take this girl to this restaurant, and the forks are thin. It's a thin fork place. You're on.
His system is he
Yeah,
has
he
it
looks
so
at
down
the world
pat.
and he goes, this could be funny. Like, to me, I go, man, I hate thin forks. But I'd never think, like, that's hilarious. Oh my God, everyone has to hear how thin the forks are.
There's a thing you'll notice, a common theme throughout the show and a lot of episodes. Comedians don't say "I hate how" or "this is stupid" because they all say when there's something that they don't like, they say "I love how," and then followed by whatever. I love
because
how
they're
this
always-
is a
they're
thin
always, like-
fork place.
They're always testing a bit.
Yes.
Like, or everything they say, like, any observation is a comedic one, or it's being spun in a comedic light. It's not just, like, I've been at restaurants and been like, man, they got great cutlery here. But I wasn't like, oh my gosh, the cutlery in this place is amazing. Thank God we're at a thick fork place. You know, I would never think, like, don't you love when the cutlery? No, I'm just like, oh, they got great forks here. I would never think to say, yeah, it's just years of this is how he generated thousands upon thousands of jokes, and he just
Right.
does it automatically now. With
And
everything.
he didn't even like he could have said, it's funny how the forks are thin here, like this is a thin fork place. But he didn't stop there because he has this system in place that he's used for so long. He knows he's gonna take this part of the bit and insert that at the beginning for the rest of the bit.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. That's why he is who he is.
Jerry Seinfeld. A lot of beans.
We're gonna make a beanbag chair out of coffee beans.
Oh my gosh, it's genius. It's
Well,
genius.
We'll market it as an energizing beanbag chair. Rejuvenates you as you sit.
It's perfect. Extra high
aroma?
caffeine content. Robusta.
the-
Robusta.
Plus, it'll
back
smell
support.
great.
I felt like I was hiding some deep sexuality. That I'm wearing a brightly colored swimsuit underneath, and he doesn't know it. That must be how women feel when they have sexy
He's
underwear.
doing it again. He's doing it again. He's making a bit. Literally just a regular conversation. He's doing it again. Oh my! I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, wait till he sees what I got on. It's the first time in my life I felt like a girl.
And there's the
it's killing.
punchline.
Yeah.
That's the punchline. He started from his swimsuit, put it at the beginning because the swimsuit itself isn't funny enough to get the audience to laugh.
No, but he
Put
draws
that
that,
at the beginning
that
to
correlation between
prep.
this is what women must feel like. And then for the first time, and the joke kills. It lands. Oh, I love it.
The crowd goes wild.
Wait till he sees what I got on.
And he doesn't just end on the punchline. He always reiterates the punchline again because he knows it killed. Like, he can tell. He's like, oh, yeah, Jimmy's loving this. So I'm going to hit him again. I'm going to just slide another one in there. Keep the laugh going.
What you want in a pancake is to have the consistency of young human flesh.
It's spongy. It has
I don't know why.
So I have two things to say, but we'll just start with the human flesh thing. Again, he's working a bit. Same thing. It's just not a good bit. It just doesn't land.
No,
He's
not a good bit.
making observations. He's like, oh, this might be funny. And he doesn't stop to think, would this be funny if I say it? If he was by himself, maybe he'd like work it out in his head and go, nah. But he's sitting in front of Jimmy Fallon, so he just tosses it out there and he goes, no, that did not work. And Jimmy Fallon tries to play along. He's like, because it's impossible for him to be negative or controversial. So he's like, yeah, let me touch this pancake. And it does feel like something. It's just not a great bit. More importantly, Jimmy gets his bacon on the side. Jerry gets his bacon on the pancakes. I wouldn't have guessed that Jimmy was a bacon on the side kind of guy. A special request kind of person.
Pancakes and bacon. Bacon must be on the side. Bacon's not on the side. I will send it back. I will have
Coffee,
the gabagool.
Hot. If it's not hot, I send it back. And if pancakes, if they're not childlike flesh in texture, I send it back. If they don't taste like the flesh of a child, I send it
what
back.
I think one of the most difficult things is of being a stand-up comedian is that in most things in life, you get reassurance, or at least you get confirmation of whether what you did was good or whether it was bad. If you have a job interview, and I think most comedians would come out of a job interview and immediately they go, gosh, I blew it. I completely bombed that interview. But then if you get the job the following week, you actually didn't blow it. You probably did a decent job. But comedians are usually pretty hard on themselves. So in a lot of things in life like that, you get a reassurance of, okay, I did a good job. I'm on the right track. Stand-up comedy, there's no way to know, because you might think you bombed, just like you think you bombed the interview, but not actually did that bad. But you really don't have a way of knowing. And you get feedback from the audience, and that's your only way to know.
The laugh isn't like that's all they're chasing though, is the laugh. Like is the energy of the crowd. And I think like
But
maybe,
how hard is that got to be to read as you are
and
on
I think
stage
with
performing?
experience, like you can tell that Jerry can read his audience and he can like tailor to it. But yeah, I think like that is the job. Like, can you read the crowd and can you play the crowd and can you figure out what's going to work for them, because it's constantly changing. And I have
The public speaking is like one of the most difficult things for most people. And just to add that, you have to learn how to public speak and read the crowd that you're speaking to at the same time. It's got to be tough.
and be funny. Like, you're not just conveying a message.
Yeah.
They're there because they want to be entertained and not just like learn something. It's not like a presidential address where your job is just to convey information. Obviously, there's more to it than that, but
that
you
would
need
be
to convey
easier.
information. Yeah, way easier.
A presidential address would be easier than stand-up comedy.
I genuinely think it would be. Yes, probably. It's probably, definitely. So in other words, Jerry Seinfeld for president. He'd be perfect. His diplomatic relationships. Why is the U.S. government not hiring comedians to be diplomats? In all different, they'd have to be like comedians in different languages. They'd have to be like,
because comedians are not part of the crowd. They think differently. They think out of the box. Government doesn't want that. You cannot be an
they
abstract
want
thinker.
a machine.
You've got to,
Diplomat
they've got to
machine.
put people in a spot and make sure they stay in that spot, stay in your lane. Comedians wouldn't do that.
Very interesting. Let's get back to this childlike flesh of a pancake.
This is really, really going to be a great pancake.
A lot of people, I think, would be modest on the amount of syrup that they put on their pancakes because they're being filmed. Jimmy does not, and I applaud him for it.
I love
because I'd put even more syrup on there. I love syrup.
Oh yeah, I love when Larry David's on. He's like, "You eat this?" He like tries a bite of the pancake, and it's like, "No. For breakfast, I have a handful of cashews." I just like he's pouring syrup on his pancake. And he's looking at his pancake, and most people like that's nothing to talk about. And he goes, "This is gonna be a really great pancake." It's like, who are you trying to? You're giving yourself positive reinforcement. The restaurant, the pancake itself.
It's a great thing.
It's just it's awesome.
Not a bad thing to do.
Exhausting. It must be so exhausting.
If you prepare yourself and say that you're going to enjoy something, you're most likely going to enjoy it rather than being negative and saying, "No, this is going to suck."
This relationship is totally going to work out, Ross. Okay.
Well, I don't know about that one. Doesn't work miracles.
Do you ever wake up and think, I can't get in front of these people?
Oh, always, yeah.
How close to
That's how I felt
the
this morning.
curtains opening and you walking out have you ever said to yourself, I don't think I can do this?
Right up to the curtain opening. Once it opens, this is exactly where I should be.
See, I think this is like an interesting thing, but I honestly feel like most people feel like that about their job, regardless of what it is. It could be anything. They wake up in the morning and they go, what am I doing? I gotta get out of bed. I don't know if I want to go to work today, right? And you get to work and it's like, should I even be here? Like, especially if you're in a good job, or you like if you've done well for yourself. I think self-doubt is a pretty universal feeling. I don't think many people are like, I am the perfect man for this job.
I think there's a difference though. The majority of people that are not in these positions, that are in completely different industries, wake up and think, why am I feel like maybe I might be wasting my life away. Why am I doing this? Whereas Jimmy is,
do I deserve this?
Am I good enough? I'm not good enough to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. So I also feel that, like, for me, anytime I've been like faced with something that's nerve-wracking or where I'm unsure of myself, it's not. So he says the curtain opens and he's like, this is where I'm meant to be. I'm perfect for this. And I've never felt that way. I've always felt that I just like, it's like jumping off the diving board. Once you've taken that step, you're free falling whether you want to or not. Like, you're going to hit the water. You might do it gracefully. You might belly flop, but regardless, like, that's all it is for me, is the curtain opens and it's like, well, I'm here and I'm doing it. But I've never felt like, oh my gosh, this is what I am meant to do. I am, like, it seems weird. He goes from being completely like, I'm to be here, and the curtain opens and he's like, boom, this is it. I'm perfect.
Have you been in a position where you would have the ability to think that in the first place?
Yeah, it was Reese Witherspoon, Jessica Alba, and Beyoncé.
Interesting choices, Ross.
I don't know why. I don't even, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what Jessica Alba looks like.
Really?
I have a very vague image in my head. I also I'm being inundated with pictures of Beyoncé on Netflix every single time I get it up, so that one makes sense. Reese Witherspoon, odd choice. Not sure what.
Yeah,
she's great actress. Moving on.
So good. It should be famous. It should be famous.
That's a ridiculous joke, but he's just charming. Just being nice. I thought he was gonna say, "Oh my gosh, they were so good. They tasted like the flesh of a child."
I think he said what he said though, kind of
so good,
out of irony. These should be famous. Well, currently they are becoming famous as I am saying this sentence.
That's true. Wow. Yeah, you're completely right. You're miles ahead, streets ahead of me.
I was watching Saturday Night Live last night.
Why didn't you watch Saturday Night Live today? You like to watch it when it's on?
Saturday Night Live.
I think it's interesting that we now know that this was being filmed on a Sunday morning.
On the Sabbath? They're
on
working on the Sabbath?
Although Jerry's Sabbath is probably Saturday.
Yeah, maybe.
Isn't Saturday the Jewish Sabbath day?
I think it's Sunday.
Really?
I think so, but I don't know.
For some reason, I remember with Tina Fey, she asked Jerry about what his family is doing for Christmas or something. He was like, "Well, I'm Jewish, so we don't celebrate Christmas." And she was just like, "Oh, swing and a miss."
It's Tonight Show doesn't run on weekends, correct?
When I did,
What's that?
Tonight Show's not on the weekends.
No, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, so I just find it interesting that, like, I guess it's his sleep schedule, but that I feel like the last thing I would want to do if I was Jimmy Fallon and I was doing a late night TV show 5 days a week is hit my weekend and watch late night television. I just don't know if I could do it. I think I'd anything but television. I guess watching and making it is totally different, but
I mean, and not only is he watching that, he's also watching the same network
yeah,
that he has
he's
worked
watching the
for
show
for
he
the
was
last 10
on.
years.
Yeah. Like, man, take a day off work. Crazy.
I can't believe where I am. So I never renegotiated my contract.
For Famous Pancakes, he sure has taken his time.
He's talking.
Yeah. Whatever. That's what they want to say. Also, I don't think he knows how to use a fork and knife properly. Maybe it's because they're thin.
Wait,
knives.
what? What do you mean?
Just watch how he like plays with the food with the knife.
Turns out very stupid move.
Yeah.
No one
Strange.
finds that charming.
Oh, he put the knife down.
They just go, great.
Switch the fork to his other hand.
You're an idiot. Someone else renegotiated. They have a boat now, and they go, hey, why would I do this?
Because he normally uses chopsticks. He's not accustomed to the fork and knife.
Backstage, I got to see him, in the hallways, and we're all in the same building. Like, Jimmy, you're doing so great on your show. And I go, oh my God, that's how he talks. His voice was his voice.
Who is he talking
That was
about?
him.
The like main announcer for Saturday Night Live. So when it,
Oh, yeah, okay.
yeah,
I got
kind
it.
of like Higgins
Now-
in the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Right? Like Jimmy fell from
As soon as you
New
said
York
that,
City.
I could hear the SNL announcement.
Keenan
Okay.
Thompson, Amy
Yeah.
Poehler, with musical guest, Imagine Dragons, Imagine
Surprised he's-
Dragons.
You know, with as funny as Jimmy is, I'm surprised he still watches SNL.
Yeah, it's terrible. Right
It
now.
is. It's
just
really,
terrible.
really bad.
This was
It's hard to watch.
Was this 2014?
Yes.
It was a little bit better in 2014. It wasn't great, but it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
A smidge. But it's terrible right now. Like there's no talent. It's
It's rough.
because I grew up in arguably, well, not the heyday, but I meant some of the best comedy. I used to watch it every single Saturday with my mom. And like Lonely Island, when digital shorts became a thing, oh my gosh, just like banger after banger of hilarious comedy. But all of those stars, they went and like made amazing careers for themselves, which is saying a lot because SNL doesn't actually launch that many careers. I don't think it does. Like it
Wait.
launches tons of careers, but also I would say the majority of them either stay on SNL like indefinitely or burn out. You know, they kind of just like disappear into the.
Are you talking about currently
Sandberg?
or ever?
Just in
Because
general. It used to be bigger. You had like Chevy for a year, and you had Belushi, and
well, back in the heyday of SNL, that every comedian on there was launched into a career until we got to the group of people that are in it now who
Yeah, and they
seem
all
to
suck.
they can't get anywhere. None of
No.
them. How long has Keenan Thompson been on there?
But see, Keenan Thompson was on there when SNL was good, and he was good. He just never left. Like he's the longest
Maybe.
running cast member on SNL.
I think they should just go back to Keenan and Kel.
Fair enough.
One of the best shows of all time.
I definitely know what you're talking about.
You haven't seen Keenan and Kel?
No.
All right.
That's coming up next week. The Keenan and Kel podcast. That's the podcast where Cole explains to Ross something he completely missed out on. Apparently, as a child.
Do you know what it is?
No, never even heard of it.
Really? On Nickelodeon. Keenan
Really?
Thompson had his own TV show.
I didn't watch a lot of Nickelodeon.
Well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, it probably does. I never get your SpongeBob references. You would have found me on the Family Channel. I don't think that was a thing in the States, but where I'm from, Family Channel.
What is the Family Channel?
It was like Disney Channel, but Canadian rights. So we had like Even Stevens, Lizzie McGuire, Wizards of Waverly Place, Sweet Life Zack and Cody, like that kind of stuff.
You're getting a little too young. You're getting into the next generation.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Cole. You and I
are
are not the same
generation.
age. You're a 44-year-old man, and I'm just beginning my 30s.
Well, you missed out on a lot then.
Yes,
I guess there's a lot that I need to teach you, son.
Wax on, wax off. Padawan. Do you remember the SNL skit where Bill Hader would play the really, really old news reporter? And he would have the big, like, fat microphone, and he'd talking it. And then when it was the person he's interviewing's turn, he'd smack them in the face with it. He'd hit him in the face.
No, I don't remember.
Okay, well, I would love for you to look that up when we're done this podcast because it's
Okay.
absolutely hilarious.
All right.
One of my favorites. That is the era of SNL that I grew up absolutely loving.
Unfortunately, Chris Farley was in the prime of SNL, which was before my time, but I did get. Chris Farley, best of Chris Farley on Netflix was.
That was a very smooth and well thought out.
Yeah, sorry. Watch that one heavily though. Some of the best skits of all time.
Oh, what's that? There's a movie that came out on Netflix. It was a Netflix original, and it was about the creators of the Lampoon magazine. And it was absolutely hilarious. Douglas Kenny movie. It was called A Futile and Stupid Gesture, 2018. Check it out. It's on Netflix. Awesome. And it has in it all of those that star-studded cast from the 80s.
I think I watched the first episode. Maybe I recall that.
So it's
title.
a lot of the the newer stars. You've got Joel McHale, the newer SNL stars playing the old stars, and it's really, really, really entertaining. Give it a watch. I actually think I might watch it again myself this lovely evening because it's a really funny and entertaining movie.
Also on Netflix, you need to watch the documentary about Norman Lear. Do you know that name?
No. Why don't you enlighten me?
Norman Lear changed modern comedy television.
He
for
invented
history and all time.
Symbol clash at the end of a joke. Little known fact.
Are you just saying that?
Ba-dum-bum. Norman Lear, thank you.
I think you're just saying that.
It used to just be ba-dum-bum. But he thought, what if we had a ch in there?
Anyways, All in the Family, I think was his first hit. And then he started...
Archie Bunker. My grandparents absolutely loved that show, which makes sense because it was racist as hell. My grandparents weren't racist. Just
which
as much as a regular old person.
Is part of the documentary how he had so much difficulty navigating that whole racist, non-racist thing. He was trying to promote being not racist by showing how ridiculous racism is on screen.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's exactly right. Because Archie Bunker is not he's not a good person or a character that is designed to be emulated by society. He's a satirical version of the American man. He's crass and rude and fat and hilarious.
And Norman Lear, he created him to be that way,
that's really
to be viewed by the audience as to, wow, this guy is a terrible person. I should act the opposite of how he acts.
And he's hilarious. It's hilarious to watch him. Yeah.
But then Norman Lear was accused of promoting that type of behavior. And he's like, no, that's the opposite of what I'm doing. Which led to the Jeffersons.
That's okay too. Was that a Norman Lear show, The Jeffersons?
Yes.
Interesting.
He was filming
I'll just
8
make
shows.
a black people show.
Basically, in that time, every comedy show that was on TV was being directed and written by Norman Lear.
So he was the Michael
literally
Schur of our
in
generation.
the studio. He was in the studio, going from studio room to room, directing every show in the same day.
Seriously, have you seen what Michael Schur has done though? That guy's
no.
The Office.
Oh,
Community, not Community. The Office, Parks and Rec, Good Place. I think Veep.
That's interesting. Veep is HBO.
Yeah, so maybe not Veep. What else is he? He's done a ton. Do you know who Michael Schur is? He's Mose in The Office.
Does he do Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yep, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
That makes sense.
Parks
Does
and Rec,
he do
Good Place, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Superstore?
Possibly. I haven't seen Superstore.
It's pretty good.
Movies and TV shows.
NBC
shows. Yeah, he's
is,
like the modern mind of all these shows that people like watch and absolutely love.
which is not a coincidence. Do you know why?
Why?
I put this in my NBC application. That's what got me accepted into that. I
You
wrote
got
an
accepted?
entire. No. I'm for farther rounds. I have no idea yet.
Master of None. Have you seen Master of None? Sorry, I don't.
Oh,
remember.
fantastic!
Amazing. Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Schur. And
We-
Aziz Ansari, obviously, but he's like one of the minds that. Sorry, tell me. I want to hear it.
NBC, especially NBC, when he's creating shows for them, they have a very specific guideline to stick to as far as what does the audience already like? What do we know that they like? Because we're not going to spend all this money creating something that is taking a risk as far as whether people are going to enjoy it or not.
Interesting. So he's like
we're gonna take
found
what
the niche,
we
and
already
they're just
have,
giving him the ball to roll with.
take
That's
what we
interesting.
already have and recreate it in a different
different,
environment with
yeah.
other characters doing the same exact role. So take The
Interesting.
Office, you have Michael Scott and say Dwight. Put
Now you've
them
got Leslie Knope, and you've got
exactly. Put them in a city council building.
Yeah.
And you have Leslie Knope and Ron Swanson or
Yeah.
Andy Dwyer.
Yeah. Now I will say, have you seen The Good Place?
No.
It's different. Awesome show, but it does like break the formula a little bit. It's also been really successful, and I'm a season behind, so looking forward to getting back into that. But give it a watch. So funny, and Kirsten Bell is just she's an absolute gem. Big fan.
I don't know much about Kristen Bell. I have a Kristen joke though. If I
lay it on me.
all right, if I ever meet Kristen Wiig in my life, I'm gonna use this is the first line I'm gonna use. I have it all written out, ready to go. I'm gonna go, hey, nice to meet you. Is it Kristen or Kirsten Wiig? And then she's gonna say it's Kristen, and then I will say, oh, sorry, I get Kristen and Kirsten mixed up all the time. I think it's because Kirsten Dunst and you're both like kind of reddish hair. You're both comedians. And then she'll say, Kirsten Dunst is a comedian? And I'll say, no, but her acting's a joke.
Ah!
I'm sorry, Kirsten Dunst.
And then you guys will make love on the street because they'll laugh so hard.
Probably.
That's a great joke. I actually was thinking of a different punchline as you were coming up with that, and I completely forgot it because that caught me off guard. That's really funny.
Pretty good,
say,
though. Not bad.
I think I can help
I
with
gotta
this
practice.
Pammed problem. That's a Step Brothers quote. I'm not sure if you're as familiar as I am with that movie, but yeah. I think I can help this Pammed problem. We're going to be interviewing as a team. That's, yeah, you need to meet your NBC interview. Would have gone way differently.
Also, Superstore. Everyone out there, watch Superstore. Fantastic show.
I've heard good things. My sister has told me it's superb. I don't know where to find it. I don't know what it's not on.
It's on Hulu.
We don't have Hulu in Canada.
Really?
Really, it's actually it's a big shame because Hulu has some real content on it.
Yeah, anything that's good on TV, like on broadcast
Hulu.
or
Yeah.
cable network, is on Hulu.
Mhm.
Superstore is also directly derivative from The Office and Parks and Rec. Literally same characters, different environment.
Awesome.
That's why NBC is still so successful.
Mm-hmm. But Disney is coming for them. Bum, bum,
What's that?
bum, bum. I said Disney's coming. It's like Jaws.
Disney Plus.
I cannot wait. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Why? What do you? I don't know anything about it. Really?
I have been looking for a way to feed my nostalgia from my childhood, but in an unhealthy way. So like right now, it's a lot of work for me to like rewind a VHS and put it in and watch an old Disney movie. But with Disney Plus,
or find it online.
Yeah, like I can just sit down, and instead of watching The Office for the 7th time, I can watch every single classic Disney film ever.
Now, how is it going to be? What platform is it going to be? Like, okay, so Hulu has an HBO add-on. Is it going to be you can buy a Disney Plus add-on, or is it going to be their entire own service?
It's their own service, like their own complete streaming service. But I think that there are like tiers of packages. Like they're going to have new original content streaming all the time. But also, it's going to have every Marvel movie, which is going to be crazy.
Will I be able to access it from Hulu, do you think? Or another streaming service?
No, I believe it will be its own streaming service. I think they're keeping Hulu separate, and their reasoning for that is that any of their more like adult risque content that they're creating, like some of their like Marvel Defenders or whatever it is going to stay on Hulu, and then the slightly more family-oriented stuff is going to go on Disney Plus. And then they can make people subscribe to both things. But I think it's going to be its own standalone app, like akin to Netflix or Hulu or HBO now. It's going to be sweet. All of Star Wars.
When can we see that, Ross?
I believe it's coming out in November 2019. Don't quote me on that, though.
Soon.
Yeah, won't be long. Because you've been gone so long, you've been gone so long, you've been... Okay.
Jack Nicholson's the coolest guy. Again, one of those guys where his voice is his voice. It's like, you're you, he's Jack. I'm eating Cracker Jacks. And he looks at me, he's got a sunglasses, and he goes, did you get the prize yet? You know, when I was a kid, we used to get metal things like tin whistles, stuff like that. And without even looking at me, he's looking out at the game, he goes, now you get a picture of a f***ing snake.
One, I love seeing Jimmy Fallon swear, even though it's bleeped out. I love that. It's hilarious. Even though he's impersonating Jack Nicholson, it's funny. He doesn't swear very often. Jerry Seinfeld doesn't really do impressions. It's not really like his thing. He has done them, but it's not like his thing. And I won't say Jimmy Fallon is good at impressions, but he commits, and it's entertaining. Like that story was entertaining. And it needed the Jack Nicholson voice, or it wouldn't have been funny.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Do you have to showcase impressions to get on SNL?
I think it's a huge part of it. I know. I think there are times where people who aren't good at impressions and don't do impressions make it on, but I think the vast majority of the cast are skilled impersonators, because really, like, that's what SNL is like you're taking on roles, even if it's not an actual person, like you're acting.
Now, yeah, well, now more than ever, it is an actual person that they're representing.
Yeah, because they're trying to parallel like politics or like popular culture, which they always have done, but I think more so now than ever before. Yeah, it used to be a lot more original content, like, oh, let's think of what would be funny if we had a teacher and this happened. And like, it'd be funny if we had Trump and
which again goes back to, we don't see original content as much anymore anywhere.
No, because
it's too much of a risk. They're not going to spend the money on a risk.
That's true. Yeah,
and I wish they would.
Yeah, and they reach a certain amount of people by playing the political angle.
I mean, which I love. I love Alec Baldwin as Trump.
Hilarious. Really funny. But that's the thing, is like, it wouldn't make the news if they weren't doing political sketches. I just find that's all I see of SNL. I don't watch it as much anymore, but when I do watch it, when they do take risks and do original skits, they just don't seem to be as hilarious as they are in the past, or were in the past. But
I mean, today SNL is the only source I have of my political information.
They tell me everything I need to know.
If I want to watch a debate, I just watch the SNL debate. I don't know what's more entertaining, watching Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton debate each other, or watching Alec Baldwin and Kate McKinnon debate each other.
What's funny is they still stay fairly close to like the actual. Like, I think the actual take we have to, like, the thing we have to take away from this is not that SNL is becoming more political. It's that politics is becoming more like SNL.
Yeah, that's
Like,
a very good observation.
It's just the political sphere has become so outrageous that, like, it's all hilarious, and it's funny to watch it reenacted. Like, they don't even have to change much. They're just, like, a lot of the time I think they're just doing direct quotes. It's just a little bit, like, hammed up.
They have to find the antics of the person. Yeah. And I think Kate McKinnon is hilarious. I love her.
She's great.
She does such a good Hillary.
Yeah. And, like, is she still on SNL though? She's not, is she? Does she make appearances for Hillary, or is she like a regular? I gotta get back into SNL.
I don't know about right now, but I know during the presidential debates, she was still Hillary.
But
she was the main
Alec
person.
Baldwin's not like a cast member, but he's there for Trump.
Yeah, which is at the next episode. They go over that about how he's still is very involved. Yeah. Yep.
He has like a standing offer from Lorne Michaels to just come on whenever he wants, which is pretty.
Yeah.
Do you know the sketch where they do it's like the multiple host club? They get like velvet like smoking jackets, and they like welcome new hosts who have done like seven total ones or 5 total ones. It's like, welcome to the club. I'm Alec Baldwin. I've hosted 14 times. And then it like turns, and there's like Steve Martin. He's like smoking a cigar in the corner. It's like a private club for people.
Wait, is this a skit that they put on, or just
it's a recurring skit? Yeah, it's really funny.
That's good.
It's a good one. All right.
The funniest part is that he asks you about the prize and that he looks off. That's the melancholy.
There are some people in this world that are such characters. Jack Nicholson's one of them. That they play their character in every movie they're in because they're that much of a character.
Morgan Freeman.
It's so interesting to me.
Yeah, that's got to be the best way to do it. The least amount of work. You could be Daniel Day-Lewis and have to work your ass off to become a new character, right? To create a character and like method act, or you could just show up to work and be yourself. Way better. And don't get me wrong, like I think a good example would be like a Robert De Niro, where when he was a young actor, like, you know, he took some more risks and he like became different characters. Like Taxi Driver is very, very different than Godfather, right? But then, you know, you hit an age where he's like, screw it, I'm gonna mail it in. I'm playing Robert De Niro in this movie, and that's all he does now, and it's great. Yeah. I love it. Like, good for him. Keep collecting the paychecks.
Maybe once you hit a certain age, you can do that.
I think so. It must be an age. Also, I completely forgot about this bit he does, and part of me wants to think he decided to leave his pancakes here and do this whole bit, but I think he just did it off the cuff. I'm just gonna pull us back 10 seconds and.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down.
It's a great bit.
Just want one more.
That's the SNL.
Just one.
The last this bite though. Just watch the bite. Watch the bite. Did he bite the fork there? That is one of the worst feelings in the entire world when you bite the fork.
I'm going to lose it, right? One point.
Yeah.
Oh, the talk show host's life is a sick science experiment. Let's seal up a lovable human being inside a studio and make him make 5 hours of television a week. And let's see what happens.
These words that Jerry is saying to him, if this were being filmed today, I think it would be different because Jimmy has been through the trenches and he's made it out alive on the other side and he knows what he's doing. But now that we know that this was filmed in 2014 and he just started hosting The Tonight Show,
these are
it's
not
still
like,
relatively new.
These are not like encouraging words that he's getting from. It's like, you're screwed. Right. Something's going to break is essentially what he's saying. He's like, yeah, you are going to go crazy. Good luck.
Yeah. And it's not like he can look back on it and laugh as if it were being filmed like, today. He's right. Just getting into it and he's like, oh gosh, he's right. What did I get myself into?
A couple sleepless nights probably after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And Jerry just doesn't. I love that about Jerry too. Is he doesn't? And this, you get a lot more of this from Larry David, and it's one of my favorite things about Larry David. It's my favorite thing about Curb, is that he just doesn't give a rat's ass what people think about him. Like Jerry, maybe not as much, but like Larry David will burn bridges left, right, and center. If someone thinks he's an asshole or a creep or a weirdo, he's like, oh, well, okay, I guess that's it. And I think Jerry has that same kind of thing in him where he's like, I'm making this joke, and if Jimmy thinks I'm an ass for it, then fine, but it's funny, and he's probably going to laugh, and I'm charming enough to probably make it out of these relationships unscathed. But, like, if I said something, if I was like, man, Jimmy, like, this job's going to kill you. You are screwed. You will, there's no way you make it out of this job without, like, going crazy. But Jerry just has a way of saying it that's funny.
Yes,
charming.
And that's what I was going to say, is I agree and disagree with that, because Jerry is charming, and he can say something really rude to a person, and they don't take it as rude.
And he does all the time. He's actually, like, objectively, if you were to, like, write a transcript of what he says to people so that you, like, didn't see him deliver it, you'd be like, this guy's a bit of an asshole. Like,
yeah, and that's the difference between Jerry and Larry David.
Yeah.
The way that Jerry is, he can be that way, but he still doesn't burn bridges, because everything's a joke to him. So he doesn't expect people to really take offense to what he says, and that's what he hopes goes down. But for Larry David, if you were to say some of the same things, he just comes off as kind of a jerk anyways. And
I don't think Larry David
guy.
is, like, in life, I don't think he's joking. Like,
no, he's not. And that's,
he would actually
if it
be
weren't
like, I
for
could never do it,
Seinfeld,
you're going to go crazy.
If it weren't for the success of Seinfeld, he would not be nearly as successful as Jerry would be.
No,
if
not even
Seinfeld
close.
never existed. Jerry would still somehow be successful if Seinfeld did not exist.
Not even close. But I absolutely love Curb. It makes me feel good about myself because I see Larry in these, like, really awkward, like, the moments where you're laying in bed and you're thinking back in your day and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. Like, I'm such an idiot. And when I see Larry David go through these problems, I know
that's why I have to
fake
have the
stuff,
TV on at night.
Yeah, yeah. So I can.
Otherwise, I'm awake all night.
It's just nice to see, like, you know what? He just fuck it. Just doesn't care. Like, screw it. Whatever. It is what it is.
Leave that in post.
Yeah. Leave it. Beep. You can sample this. Beep. You can use that as a sample.
Thank you.
Okay,
Got
moving on.
Cool.
Let's get back to Sag Pond. Thank you.
So fun.
Hey,
Cool.
look at her shirt. Look at her shirt.
Thank
Come on,
you
talk.
so much. Bye, guys. Oh.
Born and raised, baby.
No, he's figuring it out right now.
I absolutely love seeing Jerry get his balls busted.
Look at how low Jerry's head is right now.
He's so embarrassed because Jerry 90% of the time, like, has the upper hand over people. Like, he's quicker to the punch. He's got the money. He's got the wit. Like, he's usually the one with all the cards, and it's just so funny to see him knock down a few pegs. He's just genuinely embarrassed. He's not, like, upset or anything, but he's just
no. He's not embarrassed. He's annoyed.
Yeah, probably.
Because
It's
he has to
hilarious.
live through every time he's in public, he's got to live through so many non-funny jokes, and I'm sure that's
But that's a funny joke. I think
what does
that's
Michael
hilarious.
Scott?
It's the
what does
clutch
Michael
honey.
Scott say? The most insulting thing to a comedian is having to listen to a bad comedian. That's how I think Jerry feels
I think
right
what
now.
it is if you or I stalled that car, nobody would have looked or cared. But Jerry, all his failures and all his successes are.
Did he stall it?
Yeah,
I guess
that's what happens.
I never even realized that it was stalled.
Yeah, I'll back it up for you. So he goes
I
to
thought
pull
he was-
away, and he stalls the car, and then they just start, like, roasting him for it, and it's just.
Thank you so
wonderful to
much.
see.
Bye, guys. Oh. No, he's figuring it out right now.
Other people usually do it.
You can hear him sigh.
It's
All right, that went on for 45 seconds too long, those ladies. That was annoying.
Were you
See,
annoyed?
I like this too, that when they're sitting in front of him, Jimmy is all nice, all politeness, but he knows that Jerry is annoyed and frustrated by these people in this situation. And he's still being nice about it, but he's like, this is the first time I've actually seen him, like, expressing an emotion other than pure joy.
That is, yeah, that's not positive. And it's still not even, it's not even negative.
Not
it's just
anything,
not positive.
Yeah.
If someone actually did a punk thing,
Yeah.
or I wouldn't sign the release. I go, no.
I can't imagine this.
That's how mad I am. I'm so mad that you pranked me that I'm not going to do it. And it's unusable stuff.
Nah.
And now the prank's on you.
He'd be all happy about it.
You know when Pam is talking to Jim about how he never yells, and Jim's like, I've yelled, and she goes, I've heard you exclaim.
Yeah,
like
that's Jimmy.
Like
Fallon.
if we're in the parking lot, he said, I found the car. Jimmy does. That's Jimmy to a T.
This is Jimmy saying he's like, oh yeah, if I got punked, this is what I would do for sure.
I
would.
would.
I don't know about that. I think you'd probably be like, oh, so good, so good. You got me so good. oh my god, so good.
If it were Justin pranking him,
Oh my God.
that would be his reaction.
Yes, that's exactly right.
I wish we
His
could do a
relationship-
whole show
about
about
him
Justin
and
and
JT.
Jimmy. Yeah.
That's how I know that Jimmy Fallon is probably a good guy in real life and it's not all an act. Is that someone from a completely different profession, and yeah, they're both celebrities or whatever, but like they don't really have any reason to be friends with each other. Like he knows lots of celebrities. The fact that they are friends is evidential to me that he's a fun person to be around and a decent guy.
Yeah. I love their Lake Winneb. I don't even remember
Their
how to say
camp
the name.
skit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Camp
Hilarious, where they sing.
Winnepampack or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Every one of them is fantastic.
They're just funny together. Yeah, big fan. JT's a good guy. He
You
should be a
wasted
guest.
a whole day
Let him
of
be.
pranking me.
I'd like to see him and Jimmy on this at the same time. Like,
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
in the back.
That'd be a
Maybe
riot.
between the two.
Yeah.
I called you back, and you didn't text or call me back.
No, that's the least I could do.
I
And
love
even
that.
still, Jerry just swoops in and steals the punchline. Like he crafts this bit and he runs it and it's it's landing, it's working well, and then Jerry is like, ding, the light bulb goes off, and he's like, I know how to make your joke much funnier. My delivery will be better. It's great.
Have you ever
No,
used
that's
that
the least I
phrase?
can do. That's the least I can do all the time.
Yeah. Really?
all the time. And I now
I can't
I
use
need to
it.
stop because now I feel like a total dingus for.
Well, I thought of like what Jimmy, how he starts explaining it. Every time I go to say it, I think of it in that context. I'm like,
Mhm.
I want to say that's the least I can do.
No, because
I'd rather do more than the least I can do.
it's true. I'll say like, oh, no problem at all the time, which is like a weird thing to say too. I think like, or my pleasure.
Well,
I should stop
it's
saying my
about
pleasure. Someone's like,
text
oh, thanks for
messages.
picking up my shift. I'm like, oh, my pleasure. You know, it's not really my pleasure.
Wait,
Like,
are you saying these through text message?
in person, and text message.
Because it's difficult sometimes to give a response in a text message and try to find a thing that sounds light, but not too light,
Mhm.
but not too
You know what
personal.
I find myself doing all the time, and I scold myself for it, is someone will thank me for something. Like, oh, thank you so much for that. And instead of saying, oh, you're welcome, like, which is what I should do. Just say you're welcome. Like, I'll go, no worries. Which is
No worries, mate.
So they'll
No
be like, oh my
dramas.
gosh, thank you so much for picking up my shift. I'll go, no worries. But I'm not really being like, oh, you're welcome. Like, I'm not really accepting their thanks. I'm just like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's a little bit rude.
I'm Ross.
Don't
I
worry,
got
no
it.
worries. But,
Jerry, it's me, George.
I'm worried.
I mean that's not a big deal though.
No,
worries
there's worse things.
versus
I'm
you're
not-
welcome.
No worries. Thanks for doing this podcast with me, Ross. Hey, no worries. Doesn't that feel a little bit like, he's gone out of his way. He's like not really happy to be doing it for me. He's like, no worries.
That's
Don't
totally
worry about it.
different.
Just- yeah.
I don't know.
Actually, did
He
the
said,
least you could
"You're
do."
welcome.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I had a
I'll
great
show
time."
you.
No worries.
That'd be better than no worries.
It was so good, so good.
I didn't.
No,
No, I called you and said this is the least
Yeah.
I can do.
You said I thought it was the least I could do.
Yeah.
To call you back.
Yeah,
I
no.
wanted to show you that's not the least.
The least you can do
Yeah.
is exactly. You
I'll
don't.
show this guy.
Show me what's what.
Okay, I want to see the special things. John's Pancake House, Montauk, New York. Chris Mazzilli. And that Corvette came from VH1 Max Corvette.
Oh, 1956 Corvette.
Yeah, we should have known better.
Oh, 67 was the Lamborghini.
I have a photograph of me and Dom Herrera in your kitchen. And so I took a toothbrush out of your bathroom.
I wonder if that was before or after the toothbrush episode of Seinfeld.
Well, I
'Cause
think
if he
he said it was
took
the
a
last
tooth-
episode.
Oh, is that what he said?
I think he said it was the last episode,
Oh. Oh, okay.
which is awesome. That's
Oh,
funny.
yeah.
That's such a weird thing that, like, I don't imagine, like, Jimmy Fallon and Jerry Seinfeld's, like, careers crossing over. Like, I've never thought of, like, Jimmy Fallon, like, basking in the, like, the heyday of Jerry Seinfeld's Seinfeld career. Like, I never would have imagined him, like, their careers crossing at any point, their paths crossing. It's a weird thing. Because he said we snuck on, like, obviously he was working on, like, on the lot, right? He wasn't just a random guy who snuck onto the set.
No, but he had only been, if it was the last episode, then he was only working for SNL for a year.
Yeah.
So he wasn't some big shot who could just walk around wherever he wanted.
No. Yeah, that's
It's
just
interesting.
funny.
Also something I would do. Sneak backstage.
Totally. Totally. That's great. I can just see it. And especially if you're like young on SNL when SNL is like big, it's like a like party atmosphere, and they're like all kids, like you said. They're all kids who just are like goofing off and having fun, and they're funny for 1 hour a week. And everything else is them just like trying to like create content. So that's I can just see him doing that.
It sounds like, from what I've heard, is working for SNL is a pretty strenuous job.
It's
Though
a
it
lot.
might be
They're, like,
for 1
writing
hour
every day.
Yeah.
And it's especially because they need to get the writing done with they need to do their pitching, their writing with the guest, and then they need to rehearse. And they rehearse like way more like sketches than are actually aired.
Right.
And then like day of they'll cut some, and like moment of they'll skip one or two if there's no time or whatever, and you're switching like costumes, and then you do that every single week. You're like creating essentially a 1 hour play.
Which, who was it? Was it Larry David who tried to write for SNL and got literally one episode of his skit that was aired, and it was aired at like 1:30 a.m. or something like that?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Sounds right. That'd be so frustrating.
It's interesting.
Right? And the thing too is like it's not just writers; it's like the actors themselves are writing and pitching their own sketches as well. But it's like, I think John Mulaney was a writer for SNL for a long time, right? Which makes sense because he's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Conan O'Brien, wrote for SNL for a while. Makes sense. He's hilarious. And you can definitely tell the difference between, well, once we get to John Mulaney too, we can talk about it, but there's a difference between someone who has like the comedic mind and someone who has like the comedic presence. Because like, I would say Jerry has both, which is a rare thing, I think. And like maybe Conan O'Brien does too, but you can tell like when you see Conan, like he's a writer. He's a joke writer. Not necessarily like a stand-up.
But he acts like a really goofy guy. He looks like a goofy guy.
He's absolutely hilarious. I absolutely love Conan. He's a podcast. Don't check it out. Just listen to ours again. But it's called Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, and it's hilarious.
You know who I think fits the perfect description of who is a writer and does not look like an actor or performer is Nick Kroll.
Yes. I mean, I guess he performs a little on Big Mouth, right? But
well, yeah, he's one of the main characters on Big Mouth, but that's because that's
totally
his.
Different.
It's his show. SNL, he was just a writer.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff. Let's
With
look
it.
this.
It's not who wants it, it's who gets stuck with it.
Next week we have Alec Baldwin.
Oh, that's awesome, man!
It's a fantastic episode.
You're so right when you talked about the like how Netflix rejigged the seasons, and they just put out like an entire season of awesome episodes.
Yes.
Right at the start, like, to just suck you in and like convince you it's a good show right at the beginning. Like production value's there, guest quality's there, and it's just funny.
This was season 6, or Jimmy Fallon was season 6, episode 12, I believe.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that's like when they're like well-versed, practiced, know what they're doing. Maybe we should do the same thing with our podcast. We should do this whole thing again and then we should pick our last podcasts and put them in first. So people go, oh my gosh, the production quality of this thing is
not a bad idea.
And then they'll get to the end and go, wow, they really let this thing go.
I love breathing what you're burning.
Baby. Awesome.
All right.
Yeah,
take us home, Ross.
Take us home. Yeah.
Got any last words?
It was a pleasure having you here today. My name's Ross.
And I'm Cole. And this is Comedians
in Cars.
Getting
Coffee.
The podcast. Woo!
Yeah, a lot of fun. Take it easy, and we'll see you next episode with Alec.
Coming at you hard and fast.
Just a lazy, shiftless bastard.
Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee podcast is not endorsed by Columbus 81 Productions, Sony Pictures Television, or Netflix, and is intended for information and entertainment purposes only. The official Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee show can be found at netflix.com/title/80171362. Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, the Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee logo, and all names, pictures, and audio of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee characters are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Sony Pictures Television, Netflix, or their respective trademark and copyright holders.